are live, guys.
All right, hello, Makers of the World, coming to you live in spirit from I-3 Detroit and the innovative Ferndale, Michigan. This is Make Something Wonderful, a podcast exploring all the fantastic ways we create. I'm Thomas Tusano.
And I'm Matt Carpenter.
And Rob.
And I'm Matt
and this week it's just us, joined by our producer Rob.
So, this week we'd like to take the discussion away from more or less the maker guests that we normally have. There have been some changes going on in the world, and so the guests we're currently searching for more and more of them, to put it nicely, and getting them all lined up. But we figured it was an excellent week to take a break and let all of you know exactly how we do the show and why we do it the way that we do it, as far as things go. So, and let me mute myself over in the broadcast thing over here so I can at least... Okay, so now, obviously, all the magic started on Discord. So all that you're seeing here, you're seeing the i3 TV logo. This is a more or less, I won't say pre-canned. What's the term for it? I would say we use Discord for our structure. So this is... Oh, yeah. Hans let us know the audio is good. So we do read
okay, great.
YouTube chat. We read the i3 Discord, the i3 Slack during the show. And I'll show you guys my setup in a little bit here. But the three of us and our guests have been using Discord. We all call into a group server call, and then we restream that. So over the past few months where you've seen us doing this... Wow, few months. Wow. Over the past few months that you've seen us doing the show, that's what it's been. It's been a Discord call. And we have our whole show script, as you guys will see as we pull back the curtain here tonight. Our show script is a Google Doc that we all share edits so that we know what questions we're on and what we're doing. So I'm going to back up a bit and give you guys kind of a tour, at least for now, the short MTV Cribs version of what my setup looks like and why I have what I have. And during that time, Matt and Rob, you guys are completely open to comment and ask questions. So is our user chat, and make commentary. But just remember, your setups are going to be coming on in a little bit too. The reason we're doing all of this is more or less because of the fact that we want to show the people at home that this is easy enough to do in very much in the maker spirit, because we are broadcasting from our basements because of the very excellent situation that's going on in the world right now. Heavy sarcasm implied. So I'm going to switch my camera over and switch to my phone audio real quick. And then I'm actually going to turn the camera around because the other camera has a better view of things. Can you guys still all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound good.
All right, cool.
Utterly seamless.
Yeah, which is kind of neat. So I have a dual monitor setup, and you can see the YouTube stream there as well as the Discord there and how we're doing that. As well as if I were to share my screen, you'd see our script and all of our highlighted notes. And it's actually a little out of focus because I don't want to give away all the secrets because we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we monitor the stream to make sure the audio and the video look good and that everything's in sync and we all know what's going on.
Maybe you could rotate.
Yeah, I'm going to make my first comment, Thomas, and say that you should,
There we go.
There you go. Okay, so, sorry, so I keep that on my desk at Hash House a Go-Go, excellent restaurant, go there, it's cool. Razer Kaio webcam, Blue Yeti Snowball, and Razer peripherals, all with a dual monitor setup, as I said. And if you back away, you can see I've got a standing height desk. The other two essential pieces of my kit here and of my setup, I've got my thermos with a sticker from the lovely Miss Jackalope out of Syn Shop right here, as well as the whiteboard of self-improvement. And this has everything from guests on it to daily routines to weekly routines of what I need to do to stay sharp and to stay on task, as well as little mementos here and there to more or less remind me, and stuff like this was talked about when we first started the podcast, the Zester story and the painting. So and again, this is from more or less my basement in Canton. So you can see, what that looks like. And I sit here at the desk every week in this chair, and I have a show jacket that I normally put on during the winter or the colder months. And I sit in my chair at my desk and bring you guys the show. And that's, this is where I host from as far as it goes. So I'm going to reconnect, and then I'm going to let Matt, I guess you're up next then? So hold on.
Yeah, I can do that.
Reconnecting, and jump back over to turn my camera on. And then you see this angle of it all, and it makes a little bit more sense now exactly where I am in space with everything. So again, you don't need a huge fancy setup to do anything like this. You just need, a halfway decent desktop computer or a phone and a good microphone and headset, and, let the people see you and what's going on. So, yeah.
I didn't realize that was going to be so seamless for switching back and forth. I would have done that for mine.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you could even do that.
I use the same Discord account on my phone, and if you guys notice, there's an orange bar on the top of the screen, and it says seems like you've joined from another place, and then it has a button that says reconnect. And so when it does this thing where you can just auto switch, if you connect on mobile, it forces your desktop connection down, and then you can just switch back to desktop, so you can kind of have like a roving camera thing. So, yeah, very useful. So, all right.
If you want to talk about how it doesn't take very much hardware to do this, I think I'm going to be more the poster child for that compared to yours. Let me hit the light so it's a little brighter, and I will grab that.
Yeah. Now, Matt, I will say, while Matt grabs the lights and does his quick setup, he sent me a picture when we first started doing this remotely that was a stack of boxes of audio equipment he had ordered. And I sat there and was like, dude, I just cobbled together a couple things and bought a webcam. Like, it made the buy-in that Matt had was flattering, and the amount of confidence it gave me to see him so enthusiastic about it. So I wanted to say that to our audience, Matt.
By comparison, the part that you don't get to see, which is the webcam, is just one that I had sitting around because I was expecting to take it apart. And luckily I had it because I've had to use it a whole bunch for, while I've been stuck at home. But I'm just going to kind of take this off the edge here, and hopefully it won't be a huge mess. So, only one monitor. I'm not as fancy as Thomas. I'm going to try to hold this as level as I can. Everything's backwards, which drives me crazy. I've actually had this monitor since I was in high school. I've had it forever. So, it doesn't die. It will not die on me. I said I'll replace it when it dies, and it won't let go. WASD, code, keyboard, mechanical. I would suggest maybe not going with a mechanical keyboard in the setup where you're actually doing your broadcasting from, because Thomas and I can both hear each other typing constantly. So I'm sure you can too. Let's see what else. Mouse is I want to say Sensei 310 from SteelSeries. Ambidextrous. I used to have. It's really, really hard to find left-handed gaming mice. So I kind of end up being like, okay, what's ambidextrous and has lots of buttons, which ends up being not a lot of options. I will say, Razer does make a left-handed version of one of their right-handed gaming mice, which was really nice. But they're the only ones I've seen that actually do that. And then, like Thomas was saying, so over here, I can actually get it in the frame. There it is. So this is kind of my audio interface from Focusrite. So you've got the microphone up here, MXL 770, wired into that interface box because it obviously can't just plug directly into a USB port. It needs specific voltage and amplification and things. The very first time we did this, I just used my headset, and I sounded like I was a mouse whispering, like there was no discernible voice at all. So this is definitely helpful for that. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of podcast specific stuff. I don't know if you want to do like random makery hardware that we have around, Thomas, or you want to do that later in a separate segment.
Yeah, we can do that a bit later.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. I'm gonna push this back up here then.
I just want to let people know in chat, we are seeing you on YouTube. I see you, James, Jan, and Kevin. I can see you guys immediately off the top of the bat. I know my friend Dalbin is listening in, so hi to all of you. And I'm pretty sure more or less that B is out there watching or listening somewhere, or will at some point. So shout out to her too, because I know she always listens to the show. So yeah, we do pay attention. We do know the regulars. I know that Jan's here every week tuning in to see what's going on. And things like that. So it's nice to see that we're very slowly picking up a community around all this. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Robert, you want to show us what you got there? I see it peeking in the corner of the screen.
So
yeah, I can talk about this here.
I just want to say before all this, Robert has shown us his setup before. And if you think I'm flexing, you need to see this man's equipment.
You don't need all this.
You don't need all
a requirement.
When I said earlier, like, oh, we can show people that we're doing this on a low production, barring you, Robert, because calling Robert low production value would be an insult. Like, holy crap, please, Rob, show them the setup, you amazing beast, you. So
yeah, you don't need all this. I mean, some of the stuff is pretty simple. Like, my video and audio, my microphone are just going into the iPad right now. So that's pretty simple. But then we're capturing the OBS, or we're capturing Discord. We have our Discord window here, and we're capturing that with OBS here, and then we are from there. We're going out to reachstream.io, which is it's a simulcasting service. So you can see right now that's simulcasting us to both YouTube and Twitch. So this computer is essentially the main streaming computer, but then this all serves as essentially to monitor. So we can monitor the YouTube and begin the YouTube stream from over here and monitor the chat. And we can monitor our Twitch from our window over here. And then this window over here is just where we bring in, we just have the intro and outro audio on the screen over here. And so it's just continuously playing, and then we can bring that audio up and down over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got this, Rob. You've got this all down to a science, and like it's like pro production as far as it goes out of what you got set up. So, like that's. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely isn't a requirement. It's just, things I had from other work, and I mean, I'm still kind of trying to make sense of what we're doing, I guess, and the best way to go about things. And I mean, I'm still relatively new to OBS and streaming in general, so I think we're all kind of constantly learning about the best ways to do all this.
Yeah. I'm as far as it goes though, like I try to give you credit every week, and this isn't, I'm trying to, not to put you on the spot. I know you like being behind the camera more than you like being on camera, but as far as it goes, like this is part of the reason, the other reason I want to do it behind the scenes. You deserve, we also need to apparently change the episode count or something.
Travel back in time.
Jan just messaged me. Hold on. No, we'll figure it out in a second.
Yeah.
So,
Twitch, it says episode 9.
Oh, okay. Well, there's just something.
Sorry, Twitch viewers.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But either way, yeah. As far as everything goes, like every week, this is exactly why I give credit to Rob, and I talk about his production value and what he's doing for us. Because obviously we don't have that kind of gear. And, this is a huge boon for us to be able to do this and to have Rob, because if he's semi-pro, like, we're not even rookies. Like,
Playing
Seriously.
T-ball over here.
Yeah, and Rob's got like the Red Sox just winding up for the pitch. So seriously, man, good work. And I don't mean to put you on the spot and put the pressure on, but like you deserve the attention and the accolades, man. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want people to think that they need all this stuff. I mean, the main computer running the stream, it's a 10-year-old PC, so you don't necessarily need the biggest and best. It mostly just looks impressive because all of the screens.
yeah. So I mean, we're on a potato, but we're on like a top tier Idaho Gold potato as far as it goes. Like, so either way, no. But Rob, you're doing excellent with what you've been giving us and the effort you've been putting in, man.
Question on some of that. So OBS, am I correct in assuming that the O stands for open, as in open source, like it's freely available?
Yeah, it's all open source. Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent. Very nice.
Yeah,
so
that's
really,
why there's been different offshoots like the Streamlabs OBS, which I'm just beginning to kind of explore. I've mostly just been running the standard OBS.
okay. Very nice. And that's, I imagine, since it is like that, there's probably a huge amount of like online learning kind of content centered around that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, the first taste I got of that was the like 72-hour, the first time we did the live stream kind of thing where we actually got into streaming, and it was I would say it was a baptism by fire for me, but I mean, you're the one that didn't really sleep that entire weekend, I guess.
Yeah. There was not much sleep was had that weekend.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we decided to do more streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, for the next 5 years, this man is going to be able to look at me and go, remember the live stream? And then I'm just going to be, drinks on me. He drinks free tonight. Like, as far as things go, because like that, he should rightfully never let me forget that weekend. For context and how we all got started in this is me and Matt went into the 3D printing lab at i3 to fill time in our 72-hour marathon live stream, and I told a story about how I injured my pinky a couple weeks before Maker Faire, and I don't know if this has been featured a couple times before. It was 72. It wasn't 40. Was it? Oh, 40. You're saying we do it. Sorry, I'm responding to chat live. Kevin says we should do another 48-hour continuous live stream. I say we
48 hours. We could manage
I think
that.
36 was probably ideal. I think 36 is where we started to like lose steam.
And then it just went off everywhere. But either way, this was one of the stories that set it up. Is one of our members looked at us and said, "I had such a great time watching you guys talk. Why don't you have a show?" And then I kind of needed to find a purpose to do it. And that was more or less, starting to bring the i3 community together and give us an online presence, because makers, we're great at, going into the shop and just like tunnel visioning on one project. And people think the concept of maker spaces are neat, but even our own community suffers from that kind of tunnel vision. So I said, the reason why we need to do this is because we need the community at large of other maker spaces, and we need our community to have something to rally around, a public face to rally around, rather than trying to explain what they do to other people. They can just point at a YouTube channel and be like, this is what I do. You know what I mean? And have something like that. And also Syn Shop has had that same thing. And one of the people we regularly work with, the Pong from the Las Vegas Valley hackerspace known as Syn Shop. He started on one show. I was on that show. I got bitten by the bug. And then we decided, let's try to chain our shows together by having them be like back to back. And we'll try to create a maker block with another maker space. So we'll have 3 or 4 spaces all doing shows, talking about what they've seen in making, what their space is up to, what their members have been up to, and having cool maker-themed guests on. So more or less, it all stemmed out of like just a conversation where me and Matt were trying to be funny and be our normal selves that we were for the entire car ride to NomCon and back again. And I just went, yeah, what's up?
The parts that you were awake for, anyway.
Yeah. I seem to always be the guy that's down for it as long as I'm not having to do shit. Which, I mean, I'll coordinate everything. I would make the perfect manager because I'm just like, here's the idea, you guys go do it. Like,
Well, you have the enthusiasm to get things
Yeah,
started.
exactly.
In the first place.
and then I'm
So then
just like,
you can get it rolling. Then just step away.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah, Chattanooga. Let me know when we get there.
yeah, exactly. Let's go. But to be fair, I make an excellent pack mule, and everything's like
Oh,
anyone's.
you were an excellent passenger too. It was a very you kept it engaging.
Yeah. So either way, as far as it goes, I'll try to say to Matt's credit, the chemistry, and then we were just like, okay, let's figure something out. Let's figure out how to do this, and let's go at it with this mission. So yeah, Matt, do you want to? Okay, I will say, while I started the show, the script was, I won't say your brainchild, but you pushing me to give it more structure, and then eventually
A little carrot, a little stick. You know, we got there eventually.
It served us. It's served us well. It's come out of. It's evolved organically. Is how I like to think about it.
It's still evolving because there's still a lot of blanks in it.
Yeah. So, listen, sir. Do you want some margarita to go along with that salt? So no, but Matt, do you want to screen share the script and we'll talk a bit about it and how this all came about?
Let me see how I can get this to show up nicely. Give me 1 second. We want to full screen it. Let's see. I'm just going to... whatever. That'll be fine.
Actually, I can screen share it if you can see in call. I don't know. Do you already have it?
I got it pulled up. I can share it.
Okay. All right.
I've never screen shared in Discord before. Oh, because it's opening in this window over here. That would be a good reason. This one. You know, I feel like the more you know about just like electronic stuff in general, the more things just break around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we broke.
Yeah, a little broken.
What?
So as soon as you went and hit whatever, like
Yeah, you fix that.
Yeah. Hold on.
Because it pops up another okay.
Instead of switching to, unless you shut your, what happens if you shut your camera off? Hold on, Rob.
I think I'll still be there.
Yeah, no, the icon's there. Okay, turn it back on.
Your stream currently has reduced video or audio qualities, maybe due to network conditions. That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Maybe if I turn off my camera, then that'll be better.
Here we go. We're coming back.
All right. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, James. This is what we've been using Discord every week. We're actually over in a hidden sub channel in the i3 Discord, which I probably shouldn't tell people because then they'll be all like, "I want to join in." But more or less, yeah, we have a sub channel in the i3 Discord called i3 TV, and we connect there every Friday night. And Rob sets up everything, and then we just go live from there. So we're actually on the i3 Discord right now, under everyone's nose. We meet in secret in the shadows. So
okay, now you can see it, right?
Yeah, I think Rob has to like click into it, hit watch stream or I don't know. Hold on. Oh, and it will just blow all of our work to hell anyway. Yeah. So. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Cool.
So sorry
now,
about
I
that.
can't see the video stream at all now because I have just this pulled up. So if you're making faces at me, I won't know. So
that's
I'll
fine.
I'll watch the video later, so I will know eventually.
Yeah.
Don't get any ideas.
Yeah. So again, and this is thank you, Rob, for working with all this on the fly, more or less. So this is yeah.
Yes. So this is a very good demonstration of why Thomas and I make interesting co-hosts, because we are in many ways diametrically opposite. Almost everything in here that's like very like rigidly defined was put in by me.
Yeah.
And then the things where there's some more creative freedoms were generally put in by Thomas. which is good. It's a good way to kind of everyone talks about seeing things from other people's perspectives, and there's nothing that's quite like that as like co-editing a text document together. It's like the two halves of your brain, like trying to put this together. Uh, so yeah, we're still working on a catchy startup here. But these kind of parts are mostly just there to kind of remind us. I'm pretty sure you have this whole thing memorized now, Thomas, so you don't even really read this anymore. And I
I
remember. Yeah.
I'm good at viewing it out of my peripheral and kind of making it seem like I know exactly where I'm going with it and where my intent is. But yeah, I don't have it memorized so much as I just try my best to make it look natural.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's that scene with Helen Bonham Carter pretending to be Hermione Granger, pretending to be Helen Bonham Carter, pretending to be like that's the shit. I'm trying to make it look natural while at the same time I'm trying to make it look natural. So yeah.
It's the try to. So these other parts are kind of pieces that we try to sprinkle in. I don't think these necessarily normally end up at the very beginning. They're usually kind of pop in randomly throughout. We just kind of put them here because it was things that we want to remember to talk about. We want to say that this isn't the only thing that i3 Detroit is streaming. We're trying to build more. I say we. I haven't really been directly involved in that committee. I think, Thomas, you've been more involved in it than I have. But it's my understanding that we're trying to get more streaming content from our community because we have such a tremendously diverse.
12 or 13? I think it's 12. No, episode 13 is yes, so it's 12. Episode 12.
Okay. So we've had that many basically interesting to be in there.
Yep. So to briefly touch on what Matt said, and I'm going to let him keep going. The publicity is done for us. In that when people interact with, a sewing channel and then see a tag on it that says, based out of i3 Detroit, they're then interacting with our community and kind of cross-pollinating everything. So yeah, like if Jan, for instance, she wants to do more of her seamstress work and do sewing vlogging and all this other stuff, if she started working on it and I did a woodworking video or we collaborated together, so we're trying to build a community around making and have that grow itself from there very slowly. Anyway, so continue on, Matt. Sorry about that.
No problem at all. So that was kind of. I don't know if you want to mention the call for guests as well as kind of a separate piece, but we can keep rolling if you think you've kind of covered that.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
Okay. So the kind of interesting thing about this document, which has been, I think a very cool kind of evolution of it, is that it kind of has the whole anthology going all the way back through all of our episodes, because when new things pop up, we kind of pop them up on the top here, so we still have the entire history going back. So this whole portion here was from the crossover episode that we did with Pong and Crux from Syn Shop, as well as Nate, one of our founding members at i3 Detroit. And this section actually was a combined effort between all of us to come up with questions, because we know a lot of things about i3. They know a lot of things. They know a lot of things about Syn Shop. And we know a little bit about each other even before we had done this. So we kind of had some idea where we could draw some parallels and where, we were really genuinely curious to know different things about their space and how it related to ours. So this is kind of a combination of those. And a lot of this is questions that you want to be kind of open-ended, right? You want to ask less a very specific question and more something that's going to open the door for the guest to tell a story or elaborate in some way that isn't really just you grabbing information right out of them, but you providing them a way to kind of segue into some of the things that they want to share and that they think are important, because that's ultimately the whole point of having someone on the show, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're called calibrating questions. At least how I've heard it discussed. I watched a couple things on negotiation and conversational skills before I started the show, Not because I'm antisocial or mean or anything like that, but because I want to be a better show host. And basically, you're asking questions that aren't simple yes, no, or offer pre-canned definition. You're asking someone to share what they're passionate about. So ask something that they can just sit there and riff off of and just go. And then you find data points or words or phrases in something they've said that you can then use to leverage into another question or segment. So to lean back on Jan, if she said something really interesting about how a period corset is stitched, then I would go back with, I might look for or recall a specific name for a type of stitching or patterning. And I would ask Jan, you mentioned this. Can you elaborate on that further to go the Dan Rather route? Or I can simply mirror what that person has said and just state it like a blanket statement, like, oh, a cross stitch? And then, Jan would look at me and go, yeah, a cross stitch is how we either have structured the questions. Me and Matt even changed the format a little bit in the order we asked the questions because we realized the show around the halfway mark was hitting the gas. And we were like, that's how we want the show to be from the get-go. So let's start opening with that question right there because that's when they go buck wild and they just give us everything. And so we've been tweaking all of this. And the anthology that Matt mentioned about how this is like a layered document where it's a cross section of the show, that was done purposefully because I realized that if there was a question that was semi-related to another guest, or if we have someone on for a similar topic, we can look back at the similar guests and remember one of the really memorable or hard-hitting or good questions from that guest and ask the current guest that question. And we've even kept a running list of guests at the bottom of the document so that we know exactly who we've had on. So either if they return or if we have a reason to plug them in a future episode, their information is right there in that Google Doc for us to take and, copy paste into the video description or into chat or things like that so that people can, so we're plugging them because these people are either members of our community or they're members related to our community, and we want these people to become, we want to plug these people as a sign of goodwill and good faith in them. So, all right.
Absolutely.
So yep.
So I don't know if you were done with the section about the crossover episode. That's probably the most outliney looking part of the entire document. So I don't know if there were any parts that you wanted to hit specifically. But
let me go over there and check it out.
Yeah. And while you're looking, I guess I can say that I think that some of the things that you said were right on the head with the whole point is to limit the conversational friction, right? It's making things flow as smoothly as possible by keeping things fairly smooth, in lack of a better word, for as they're telling their stories, finding pieces that if you can tie them back to questions that you already had, that's great. If they just have something that comes up, a lot of times what I find is especially when we ask the questions about how people can get started in whatever skill area or craft the person works in, most of those questions are my legitimate curiosity, because that's just something that's really interesting to me. And a lot of people that we've had on, their specific skills are things that I wish that I could do, and I just haven't had the chance to go and learn yet. So it's very interesting to me to know, all right, where would I even look to get started in these kinds of things?
Yeah. I think honestly, so here's the one thing that I keep coming back to with this outline in the crossover show, is we address this to kind of peel back the curtain some more. We address this as people, we addressed our audience as if they didn't know that other makerspaces existed. Now, we of course know that, and our audiences know that, but we did it that way so that we could basically make our guests, Nate, Pong, and Crux, back away from things and go, oh wow, our space has evolved out of incredibly similar conditions. Like, I think the difference was Crux, it was out of his garage, and I3 was out of someone else's backyard, and the meetings were held in a coffee shop, and for Syn Shop, it was something else. I can't remember what. But we looked at it, and they were like weird Twilight Zone versions of one another. And then Pong came in here and did everything like structural. Like the bullet format you're seeing is all what he did. And I said to him immediately, I said, Matt is going to come look at this document and go, Thomas didn't do this. Thomas wouldn't put bulleting here. Who else has been editing this? So you see a lot of questions that we wanted to ask about how the shops came about from their respective environments, the philosophies behind them, the communities, because I definitely wanted to get on the message of other makerspaces are not different from one another on the grand scale. They really, when you get to it, they're not at all different. So and we even wanted to get more into the future of makerspaces as well. But this was all we managed to get them talking more about the spaces and the philosophy, so we barely made it a quarter of the way through this script.
Much fun was that like we were at the end of our hour and we were like here.
Yeah.
We got through like less than a third and we're like, oh, well, this is an interesting problem.
And it was a mass panic because the week leading up to the show, everyone was worried about what are we going to talk about for 2 hours. Guys, 2 hours flies by.
We talked for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, we went until super late that night. We had like the after show, and then even after the after show, we sat for another like 30 minutes drinking and just bullshitting after we went off from the Twitch or whatever else. So like when you're doing something like this, the time will literally, like, I just looked down, it's 10:08, and I feel like we just went live. So like this flies by. And I if you noticed earlier in the episode, I was in dispo, and this was, I mean, it was a lot of effort at some times. There were 3 weeks I had guests lined up like nothing. There are other weeks where, we pulled something by the seat of our pants, but we still did it. But it all comes down to like the satisfaction we get from doing this every week vastly outweighs, at least for me. I would assume, like, Matt, you seem to leave feeling decently happy about things, and Rob, you as well. Like it's easier for you. You're set it and forget it, but the initial setup and investment is a bit more. But the effort versus the satisfaction makes this a no-brainer as far as it goes to me. And
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and the community rally around that we've seen. We started this and we were doing Discord calls just with the individual contacts. We didn't start out with the room and the server. And then our community and member advocate, Alec, got involved, and he gave us a room on the dedicated i3 Discord to do this. And then more people started offering up guests. Jan is now, even though she's not on the show, well, she was on the show, even though she's not on the show with us now, she's serving a role as our guest recruitment person now. And she's
acquisition specialist.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's out there. She's hunted down some excellent guests who she puts me in contact with, and then I run with it. So like this show is definitely a community endeavor, and definitely like that's the focus and the effort of it. And even friends and family on Facebook are starting to jump in and watch this every week. And I'm like, this is great. This is a good way to stay up to date with them, to stay up to date with the membership, to tell everyone what's going on, and to show off something cool. But the script, you look at it and it's a wall of text and you go, wow, this is really intimidating. This was 30, 45 an hour of formatting, and a couple other, for me. For the other guys, they put probably a little bit more time in it, about similar, if not a few more minutes, and came up with the rest of it. So what I have to say is this looks intimidating, but as soon as you get on a roll and you pick up the momentum, you're not going to notice the time go by. It's going to be like, I wouldn't be surprised if I look up when we hit episode 52 and go, holy crap, we've been doing this a year? Like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And I would point out too that like if you're not someone who really enjoys writing necessarily, I think that that doesn't really hold you back from this kind of planning, because if you're doing something like this, presumably it's about something that you really enjoy, right? So it's things that you really want to know, it's things that you'd like to learn, it's things that you like to look up and research, and you're probably doing anyway. So all you're really doing is taking that information and kind of laying it out, which is helpful for you anyway in helping you learn the stuff and get it stuck in your head, right? So that's definitely a big piece. To make one small technical note here while we're sitting here, I don't know if you noticed, but you've got Thomas here hopping around. This little cursor is incredibly helpful when you have more than one person hosting a show and you're like 30 miles apart or whatever. Because as we're going through here and further, I'm going to scroll down just to where the things actually have names on them. You know, if we're here and Thomas just asked this question and he's pretty confident that like he's kind of gotten what he wanted out of the answer and he's ready to kind of move on, he'll just drop his cursor down to the next one, and there's a good like non-verbal, we don't have to type because every time we type you can hear our keyboards clicking because we love our loud mechanical keyboards. um, and it's just a good quiet way for us to acknowledge that we're ready to move on. And it also gives me a chance that if I have like a one more thing question on that topic, that we can kind of do that.
Yeah. The reason I also mentioned my mouse and my Razer peripherals is I actually was able to bind a Discord mute macro to one of my buttons, and that's why you don't hear me typing as often now, is because I'll focus the Discord window, hit my mute macro, go over, interact with chat, and then come back and unhit it. And so you'll notice
I
me.
like that.
Yeah, I didn't know you did that. I should do that with my mouse.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's what is it, Control Shift M or something like that, and I just went boop, and then I hear the Discord mute noise. I jump over to chat, type what I need to, refocus Discord, and then unmute, like press the command again, and it's all like, so yeah, I was like, oh, there we go. That's one way to set up my own little thing. So yeah,
Now I use one of those little like Blink USB dongles that turns red when you mute yourself on Discord or something, and you'll have it all set.
Yeah. Or I could just have a maker project where I have like a little sign that says on air above my monitor that goes on and off when I mute myself. That'd be funny. But either way,
work.
Yeah. So the other real fun about my fun part about the shared document is that Matt, I was like, I knew he was taking this really seriously, but if you scroll down a little bit further, Matt, there's like gags that we put into the show script. And like there you go, like bonus round from I think it's Bill Wirtz or whoever it is that did the
history of the entire world, I guess.
Yeah, history of the entire world. Like, yeah, and so like there are even like notes, there are like comments with like GIF links attached to them where we like click it or scroll over it, it displays something, and we're just like, oh yeah, that was the thing or whatever. Like, so there are compounding gags in this document, and I'm pretty sure whoever finds this in the future, some aliens just stumble across this for some reason, are going to be very confused.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like
entertaining. That's the thing, right? If I'm going to have this kind of text stuff, I got to break it up with something. So we get
exactly. So Matt is not completely left brain, and I'm not completely right brain. So
there you go. So I think at this point we don't have a huge amount of time, but we might kind of pick and choose some of these questions and talk about kind of why we picked them. I know this one, I'm sure you want to talk about that one.
Oh boy, yes, because that's our hot question. So the misconceptions question, I realized right quick, and I had actually run into this in my making, that not all woodworkers are carpenters, and not oh god, I can't believe this one is going to come out of my mouth. Not all carpenters are woodworkers. I'm going to leave it alone. But either way, the whole thing is that people would come up to me, and I had someone come up to me and say, hey, can you do this job? And I go to inspect it, and I basically would have needed a general contractor's license, is what it came down to. And I told the gentleman, like, I can't, I'm sorry, I'm a woodworker, but I can't do this because it ties in structurally. And I'm not comfortable messing with the structure of your building given that I don't have a general contractor's license. And so, that was a misconception on an assumption on someone else's part that really miffed me because I really wanted to do that job. I really wanted to make the money. And so I said to myself, other tradespeople have to have this happen all the time, or the IT guy at work. Oh, you're a programmer, you're good at IT, right? Or you're a this, you can obviously do that. You're a plumber, you want to fix my sink, or you're a doctor, can you take a look at this rash? You know what I mean? Like, no, like, no. So the whole thing was there. This is a good. What is an assumption that people make about you every time they find out you're an X, or every time you find out, like Danny and cosplay, or Jan and sewing, or like or Vanessa with clay probably had the best response. Like, I had the best setup and she had the best response to that question. I bet people assume you reenact the scene from Ghost because she's a potter, she does ceramics and things like that. And I said that, and her eyes lit up and she went off, and I was just like, yes. So yeah, that question came out of personal frustrations I had that I knew other people had to have as well. So, and that's why I love that question so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that one used to be a lot lower on the list, but then we discovered several episodes ago, it might have been the one with Vanessa actually, that like that was the one where things really started moving, and because everyone with that question has a weird anecdote or something, right?
Yeah. It was actually Sean. It was Sean, because we asked him that. He started off a little bit slower. We started the show off slower, and then we asked that question, and the show just went like a Mack truck. Like, he just sideswiped us with this response, and then we're like, okay, that question gets bumped up to the start of the show now, because we're tired of and this isn't the fault of any of our guests. This is just learning to pace the conversation. I said we need something that's just going to get this thing going right at the start.
What's so cool is that we've been doing this long enough now, not even that long, but long enough that we're able to figure out some of those little things. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we know what we're doing, because we don't, but like we're starting to figure out how to adjust things to make stuff move better and make things work better, which is a really exciting thing, I think, when you're doing anything. When you're like, oh, I'm actually good enough now to realize little things that weren't so great of the way I had it before, and ways that I can improve it. One question that I don't see right on the list where I was looking, which is interesting, was who your like greatest inspiration is. And I think that was a big one that we don't think see it on here. I guess it's kind of this one. But that was kind of a big one that we kind of had a like forehead smacking moment like several weeks in, like, why have we not been asking this question the entire time? Because that's one of those like very deep rooted questions that always has an interesting answer, and really is a great way to understand, because for a lot of these people, well, not a lot of these people, many of these people are members of the space that I know fairly well, but some of them are people that I've never met before in my life. And so this is a really good way of, learning without spending, I only get an hour to spend with them really, what they're about and a little bit of their history. And that's a really interesting way to get to that topic.
Yeah. So, and it's like, because you find out who someone idolizes, and then all of a sudden they go off on the hows and whys they idolize that person, and then you find out so much more about, and it puts all their work in context, because you then see what they're trying to do with their making and their craft, and you get a better sense of like what their goals are, as well as where they're coming from, because who you idolize can often say a lot about you. So even if you don't realize it.
For sure. All right. So is there any other questions here you want to look at, Thomas, or you want to scroll down to the outro and talk about that a little bit? We're winding down here, so why don't we talk about the outro and then roll right into the outro?
All right. Well, there's one other. You know what? there's one other thing that I want to talk about, and then we'll roll into the outro, is what is something you learned from another member at i3 that you weren't expecting? And this one was pulled direct. I'd like to highlight that one only because this one was pulled directly from Nate. When I was working on the bookshelf behind me, I did these little stained glass epoxy cathedral windows. And Nate, I was deburring the edges from the epoxy that had leaked out of the kind of mold I was using. And Nate went and grabbed me a tool and handed it to me and oh, that was much better. And I was like, wait a minute, like, I'm not disparaging Nate, but like, you're an electronics guy and you just gave me a carving hand tool, and it was a very specialty like deburring tool. And the time before that, I caught Nate watching me on how I cut on the bandsaw, and he kind of went, huh. And the main point of this question is that there are some things that cross the boundaries of trades, like interdisciplinary little nuggets. Jan often looks at me and says, a lot of the woodworking tools look like a sewing machine action. Either, you're either splitting a seam or like a scroll saw, like the reciprocating up and down reminds her of the foot of a sewing machine. I said, yeah, it's not too different, really. And so there's things you can learn watching other makers that you wouldn't expect to be applicable to what you're trying to do. So yeah, from that we can go into the outro, but I wanted to point that one out because communal learning can come from the strangest places.
And that's one of the true valuable most valuable parts, I think, of spaces like i3 or Syn Shop or even the maker spaces in libraries and stuff, right? Is that it's a community of people that are interested in making stuff, but beyond that have extremely diverse interest and skill sets, and are usually very willing to share that with people. And that's what really makes it all so interesting and so valuable. Right, so we're gonna scroll down. Guess specific questions, outro stuff. So, we can talk about the outro. Yep. I don't know if there's. You want to look? I haven't. So that's maybe one of the behind the scene things. I do this without looking at the YouTube stream really at all because I find it super distracting to myself. So Thomas is the one that's always checking to see if there's any comments and questions in the chat. So are there any things that you want to answer while we have a minute, Thomas?
Well, Kevin mentions friction welding wood, which is something. Yes, that is something I need to get into. Either way, what else is there? And like this Slack channel. So I'm checking around. No, the community looks pretty solid right now. So I want to mention, because we touched on it earlier, though, a call for guests, and we would love, and a call for content, and a call for more people to be active in this. I've begun to realize that as the real world reinitiates and we get more back to life as we know it, and hopefully life better than we knew it, as far as things go, that I myself am getting a lot busier. And I will say, if guests approached us, that would be fantastic. As well as we do have our scouts out, and anyone who wants to generate more content for the i3 YouTube or wants to jump in and do their own stuff and ask i3 to promote it. We've always had that spirit there. We've always been like, yeah, make something and share it on the blog post, or come to a member meeting and show and tell about your thing. And we'll even, before everything went down, things for me and going into the outro tonight is, if you're a guest and you want to be on the show, reach out to us. Find some way. Light a smoke signal if you have to. Because we are looking for guests. We want people to interview. We want people that want to talk about what they do. And we want people who are passionate about what they do to come on this show, especially those looking to educate others about what they do. Because that's the whole point of this. It's not just, we're not sitting here, petting our own egos, to be frank about it. We're here to educate and build a community, because that's what makerspaces are about. And then to talk about the intro real and go over that, and we'll just roll right into it. Syn Shop, Pong, Crux, and the Syn Shop crew over there. I got this started because he started doing his show, and I was like, dude, I want to see if we can't cross-pollinate our audiences, even if we have to force it, if we have to graft it as far as it goes. Like with the crossover episode we do, I said, this is good maker content, and so at the end of every episode, I borrow Pong's outro or part of it, and you can see it there. We'd like to remind you folks as we sign off here that we also partner with the Syn Shop, located at, and I say it in his inflection, 1075 American Pacific Drive, Sweet Sea in lovely Henderson, Nevada. And link below is their YouTube channel where you can tune in to continue the conversation making and hacking with Crux and the Mighty Pong. And so, and then I replugged the show title as far as it goes, because I want people to know that, like, again, this isn't an insular isolated event. This is because we're part of a larger community, and I cannot hammer that home enough. As far as things go, like this whole experiment is to get other maker spaces involved, to get our community to throw their momentum behind it, and to get them to start creating content and proudly saying, like, yeah, I made this at my local hacker/maker space, and there's an awesome community here, and everyone should join because it's a good, positive environment. As far as things go, and I think that a lot of people need that positivity around creating and hand tools in their life. Matt, you do your best because you wear so many hats around i3 that I'm just like, I gave you the kind of promo line as far as it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I will shamelessly read it right off of the screen there. But
yeah,
if you'd like to know more about i3 Detroit, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your social media fix. Links in the description. And if you'd like to support us, visit i3detroit.org/donate.
Yeah. And again, it's all to serve the purpose of growing the maker community, especially in Detroit. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we're getting close to the end here. So I'd like to ask our guest for closing. Well, if there was a guest.
We can ask each other if there's any closing remarks we'd like to make.
Yeah. Rob, you're the one that doesn't normally get camera time. Do you have anything you'd like to tell the people at home?
I just wanted to say I think you guys have been doing a great job with this new format that we've kind of been forced into and working through Discord. But I think it's also a great way for us to reach out to, other makers at a distance. But I'm also really excited for us to be able to come back and be at the space as well and shooting the show from an on-site location, because I think there's some exciting things happening in terms of production right now that we can begin to experiment with ourselves on site.
Yeah, and we have goals that I actually put on the whiteboard as well to say to Rob's comment that we want to go to not put the episode up and take a Friday night off, but where there's not always things where we're just like live on Friday. We just put the episode up on Friday. Like we have and we have highlighting other members and other projects for an hour, or we go to a class kind of thing and we take shots and put that together. But either way, the whole point of this, again, is to foster community, and I can't wait to see what we can do when we're live. I can imagine setting up a podcast lounge under the Maker Faire tent and then just like putting the
fireworks. Fireworks on
Memorial Day weekend. I was about to be like,
oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. That's probably what that is. So either way, as long as are we sure it's fireworks?
I don't know.
Just don't get too close to the window, Rob. So
either window.
Yeah. So either way, we do have kind of a dream as far as it goes, to do a live on stage at NomCon, a live on stage at Maker Faire, and to highlight our members in our community. Like, this isn't just for us. Like, we don't do this for our own health as much as we get satisfaction out of it. We want to crack the maker community wide open for everybody, is the goal. So that being said, and thank you, Rob, for pointing that out in the direction that we hope we're going to move in, because that's something I've been meaning to say for a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and read, my shtick is we like to remind you folks as we sign off here that we do also partner with the Syn Shop, located at 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in lovely Henderson, Nevada. And linked below is their YouTube channel where you can tune in to continue the conversation on making and hacking with Crux and the Mighty Pong. And with that, please remember to make something wonderful and stay your amazing selves. So, and we will see all of you next week, hopefully with a new guest. And I will say, I'm hoping next week's show will be lit. So, as far as things go, I'll see all you wonderful people later. Rob, play us off, my friend.